Welcome to Eat Sleep Sixers. I'm your host, 215 the Sports Guy. We got our brother BG here with us today. BG, how you feeling?
What up, man? I'm not feeling great. You know why? Because we don't got a game tonight, man. I hate when we got a break, man. I just want to see us play.
It really makes your day go differently as a Sixer fan when you're not looking forward to the game. But guess what, people? You've requested it. You've been asking for it for a while. You've been asking BG. You've been asking myself. You've been asking Jose and Jen. Why don't you guys have more shows on off game days? Well, here we are. We're here today, and we are here to talk about our beloved Sixers. Uh, BG, a little recap from yesterday. We put a spanking on those New York Knicks. It was a little bit of a rough time earlier on in the game. What did you take from that game yesterday?
Uh, we did what we were supposed to do. I mean, like I said, the game was close, but it's a division game. It didn't end close, but it was close for the most part. But it's a division game. We expect it. It's just like because it's just me and you in here. I'll make the comparison because if Jose was in here, it cursed me out. But it's just like when we play the Giants. It's just like when we play the Washington football team, aka the Commanders. When we play the Cowboys, no matter who's the better team, it's usually going to be a dogfight. So I expected that dogfight, and we got a dogfight, and but the better team won. Man, we saw our stars gelling, and day by day, I think this team is just getting better, learning each other, learning how to play together. And I mean, I truthfully, not just because this is my team, I don't want to be biased, but I truthfully believe that we can easily end this season as the number one seed in the Eastern Conference. Currently, we sit in
It's not.
third.
It's not that. Go ahead, BJ.
Currently, we sit in the standings right now. We're in third place. We're first in the division, but we are in third place in the conference right now, and we could easily move up. We're 2.5 games back. We're a game and a half back out of second. Chicago, we already spanked them enough. Cleveland's right on our heels, a game behind us, but Miami sits in first place with a 40-21 record. Us at 37-23. We right there. We're on a 3-game winning streak. I think we won 6 of our last 7, minus that Boston loss. I'm pretty sure it was 6 of our last 7 that we won because we was on a 3-game winning streak before that Boston game, and then to go on a 3-game winning streak since beating Milwaukee and then beating Minnesota as well as the Knicks. I mean, we're in great position, man. We're in a real good position so far, considering injuries, considering COVID, considering the black cloud that was our shaky offseason. Um, it was a lot going on with this team this year. And for us to be in third place is a tip of the hat to the players, tip of the hat to the coaches, and also a tip of the hat to the front office. So I'm pleased where we're at right now. Would I love to be in first? Yes, right now I would love to be in first. But I mean, it's not in our cards yet. But we'll see. We coming. We coming.
BG, I would be in that if I didn't mention, my concern with some positions. Blake, the shirt and mug is coming, bro. We're going to get right at you with the specifics on that, man. We got you, baby. We want you to drink in style and look the part, repping your squad and repping this podcast. There are some positions of concern for me, and a few of those positions are, I don't see a consistent shooter on this squad. I don't see a guy you pass out to and like Seth Curry used to be, it damn near guaranteed he's going to make that three if he's wide open. It used to be Danny Green, but Danny Green isn't Danny Green anymore, as we all know. Korkmaz isn't having the best year either from beyond the 3-point line. I'm going to assume he's shooting a career low from behind the 3-point line percentage wise. So, when you're playing with these type of guys, Joel, James Harden, you're going to get a lot of open looks, So we're going to need guys like Tobias and Korkmaz and the supporting cast. We're going to need them to rise up and hit these open shots. They're getting more open shots than they ever got in their careers. Like I'm talking back to elementary school. Guys have never been this open. So I'm looking for them to knock it down. And, also the backup center position. I'm seeing a lot of Millsap as the small five at the backup spot. BG, how do you feel about Millsap, and what do you think should change? Because we're getting pounded on the boards in that second unit.
Obviously, I against larger teams, I would love to see Willie Cauley Stein or Paul Reed in that lineup instead of Millsap. But I actually do like what Millsap. He's a bruiser, man. He's not just getting bullied around. He may get outworked on a couple rebounds, but I don't dislike Millsap being our backup center when a team is going to play a smaller lineup. As long as it's not a small, quick lineup, because he's not the fastest. Obviously he's on the tail end of his career, but I don't mind him in the game as our backup. But am I 100% comfortable with him being our backup center? I won't say I am. I'm not.
Sims last night, feasted on the boards. And, everybody looks at the stat sheet and they look at points and things like that. But when you got a guy that comes off the bench and grabs 12 to 13 rebounds in limited minutes, that makes a huge impact in the game, I feel like our lack of rebounding off that bench isn't a good thing. It isn't
But
a good thing.
I'm not going to point that finger solely on Paul Millsap, because before the trade, even with Andre Drummond, we were a horrible rebounding team.
Most definitely.
Like, you look at his numbers and be like, oh, Drummond had 12 rebounds off the bench. Oh, and Embiid had 11 rebounds in the starting lineup, and then that was it. So we've been a bad rebounding team. Oh, we got Kai here. I'll let you do the intro.
Let him on in.
You got the intro.
Let him on in. Brother Kai, how are you, man?
What's going on, guys? How are you?
Pretty good.
Doing good. For those that don't know, Kai Carlin is the Sixers beat writer. He's a member of Sixers 24/7 group and just a solid guy altogether. Kai, I thank you very much for taking some of your time out to chat with us, man. How you feeling tonight?
I appreciate that, man. Thank you. No problem. I'm feeling all right. Feeling good.
How you feeling about the Sixers, man? I know that you're a beat writer, so you have to just give us facts. But how are you feeling about the Sixers right now?
It's 2 games, so I feel like, again, a lot of people need to kind of pump the brakes a little bit. They beat the Timberwolves and the Knicks, so it's an incredible start. I mean, James Harden. For all the idiots out there who thought James Harden wasn't the guy, it's ridiculous, because we're talking about a future Hall of Famer here. But no, like James Harden, he's meshing with the team so quickly, so well. And then again, that's what happens when you bring in a guy as amazing as that. A guy who's got a great IQ, who can handle the ball, somebody who can shoot the ball. Him and Joel have kind of been able to really kind of mesh rather quickly. But I do have concerns. Matisse Thybulle still can't shoot. Danny Green is clear he's lost a step. Tobias Harris has struggled a little bit. I'm not really too concerned about Tobias Harris. I know a lot of people are, but Tobias will figure it out. That he's too good not to. I'm concerned about the backup big man spot. I feel like Paul Millsap is going to. He can't be the guy in the playoffs. Same with George Niang. Niang is going to get exposed on the defensive end in the playoffs. So I still have concerns. However, when you have a guy like James Harden, that covers up a lot of different, issues.
Agree. You touched on it a little bit. My bad, Carl. You touched on it a little bit. But what's the feeling around the organization overall right now? Just watching the games, it seems like it's so much. I don't want to call this guy a black cloud because he gave us 5 years of his life, so I won't disrespect him. But it seems like the weight that was lifted when Ben left, and it just seems like the locker room seems like it's so much. So they're so together right now. They all smiling, they all cheering for each other on the bench. What's the feel in the locker rooms right now?
Well, we're not allowed in the locker room just yet because of COVID. I mean, I hope eventually that changes. That's all baseball. Whenever baseball returns, that beat writers will be allowed in the back in the clubhouse whenever it returns. I hope it comes back to the NBA. But in terms of just the vibe around the team, you could just tell the Ben Simmons thing was such. I'm going to call it for what it is. It was a black cloud that's hanging out over the organization. Like, no matter what, it was like, no matter who the Sixers beat, no matter how many games they had won, it was just is Ben Simmons coming back? Have you talked to Ben Simmons? Have you done this? And part of that is us, but it's our job. We got to figure it out. Like, have you guys talked to him? But at the same time, like, now that he's gone, Harden's here. It's almost kind of like a breath of fresh air almost, and you can just tell that they're just real happy to kind of move forward with this season.
Most definitely. What is the feeling organization-wide on Doc Rivers? Organization-wide, invested in Doc, or is it a wait-and-see approach?
The organization loves Doc, and I feel like the fan base should love Doc too. It gets annoying how emotional this fan base is, especially when you look at, everything that has happened like with this team this year. If you think about it, the Ben Simmons saga, they got hit with a ton of COVID issues in November and December. They got hit with a lot of injuries too. Just kind of guys coming in and out of the lineup and everything earlier in the year, right? This team should, honestly, on paper, at the beginning of the year, they should have been somewhere around 6 to 7. Going into the All-Star break before Harden, they were the number 3 seed and 12 games over 500. Now, you can point to the MVP play of Joel Embiid. I get that. But you also have to have a leader. You also have to have a coach that kind of gets everybody on the same page, puts them in the right spot, moves everything forward. And that's Doc Rivers. Granted, they've had some bad losses. They had that 24-point blown lead to the Clippers at home without Kawhi and Paul George. They had a bad loss to the Miami Heat back in December when the Heat were missing Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. Tyler Hero didn't play in that game either. And then they had like that loss to the Nets too, when all they had was Kevin Durant and they didn't have Harden or Kyrie or pretty much anybody. It was Kevin Durant and the Pips and the Nets. So I love it. So there are some bad losses, but when you look at the overall landscape of this season, Doc Rivers has done a hell of a job.
Most definitely. I had to agree with that. You already touched on the Paul Millsap at backup 5 situation, but there is another backup spot of concern for me. When will Doc get over his fascination with Korkmaz and swap him out for Isaiah Joe? What is the feeling on Isaiah Joe organization? Why hasn't he gotten a consistent shot?
I'm not going to get into it, but I can say there's a reason why Korkmaz continues to play. I'm going to look, but on the court, like if we're talking just strictly basketball, Korkmaz, and this is just me. Mm-hmm. As much as Korkmaz sucks, but Korkmaz isn't great, but he's a guy you can rely on to at least he can handle the ball. He gets his teammates involved, and eventually that shot's got to come back, right? Eventually,
gotta come back.
Kai, we're 60 games in. When is it gonna happen?
I don't know. I was actually surprised they re-signed Korkmaz in the offseason, to be completely honest with you. I was very surprised over that. But look, you look at Isaiah Joe, every time he gets in the game, he still can't handle the ball. There are a lot of times he gets stripped. He still doesn't really understand yet how to really get open for 3-point shots. He got hot in the preseason, but who cares? It's the preseason. That was another thing too. Everybody was like, "Oh, the preseason!" Pump the brakes. Nobody gives a damn about the preseason. So it's like who cares? So listen, the reason why Korkmaz continues to get playing time, he can handle the ball in a pinch. You don't really need to rely on that too much now that Harden is here. But Korkmaz handles the ball. He's very good at getting his teammates involved. I will say that he's kind of good with that. Eventually that shot's got to come back because, again, he's kind of like Niang. If the shot isn't falling, it's hard to really throw him out there because he's not a good defender either. And I don't know if you noticed it in the win over the Knicks, and just going back to Niang was hitting threes, so that allowed him to stay in the game, but he was getting targeted and hunted on the defensive end. So
most definitely.
There's going to be some matchups in the playoffs where, again, you're not going to be able to play Korkmaz or Niang just because of – unless they're hitting threes because they're not going to be able to cut it on the defensive end.
I feel like that's been a problem for the last 2 years. We've had somebody in our starting lineup or in our rotation who was able to be hunted on the defensive end. we love Seth Curry, but it was times in that Atlanta series where they would literally just clear out and throw a guy at Seth Curry and say, go post him up. He can't guard anybody. So I agree with you on that. It's going to be hard to play some of those guys in the playoffs.
Yeah, because the Sixers don't exactly have a 3-and-D guy. They have a lot of threes and they have a lot of Ds, but they don't have a 3-and-D.
No mixture.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
there's no mixture there. So like here's my thing. If Furkan Korkmaz and Matisse Thybulle were to like fuse, you'd have a perfect player because you'd have the 3, you'd have the D. Or even, you know, to use your example about Seth Curry, if you had Seth Curry and Matisse Thybulle and fuse them, that's a perfect player.
God. Yeah.
So just like, yeah, at some point the Sixers are going to have to make an adjustment there. They got to make a movement, but right now they have a lot of threes, they have a lot of Ds, but there's no 3-and-D. So it's kind of, yeah, it's tough right now.
Right now on the 76ers roster, as it is, who's your most interesting person to interview? Who do you like interviewing the most? I know I'm putting you on the spot with that, you know, but I'm just interested in knowing.
I got 3. Honestly, one of them is Korkmaz because he's funny.
He's pretty funny.
Seems hilarious.
Yeah, I will say Ferk's got a personality. Obviously Joel, because the dude is just, you know, he makes us wait, which is annoying as a beat writer because like you're trying to go home and like you'll be waiting for almost an hour after the game waiting for him to speak, but you know, it's what it is. But Joel's up there. He's always a good quote. Before James got here, Tobias.
Okay. How has James been so far? You know, have you spoke with him? What has he been like? You know, he seems like an excellent teammate from our vantage point. What are you seeing?
Well, I was in Minnesota for his debut, and I asked him about the teammate thing because just again, he always got kind of a bad rep, right? Like everything that happened in Houston with Chris Paul and Dwight Howard, and then everything in Brooklyn with KD and Kyrie, and just James really got labeled as like a bad teammate. And James kind of was just like, yo, I'm not a bad teammate. Like, I don't know where that came from. You just because I focused on me and I want to get to a place where I'm happy, you know, like stuff happens, right? So yeah. And Joel even said it in Minnesota too, a shoot around that morning. Joel was like, yo, I mean, he's the total opposite of all the bad teammate rep. So again, I feel like it's just, you know, he's been great. But again, it's a start. Like they still have 22 games left before the playoffs start. And then come playoff time, there are still a lot of teams you have to worry about in the Eastern Conference. A lot of people aren't talking about Miami. Miami's #1 in the East. And if you get an angry Jimmy Butler and you're matching up Kyle Lowry with Tyrese Maxey, and Lowry is a veteran NBA champion type of player, and then you got Bam Adebayo too. Sixers would have the 2 best players in Harden and Embiid, so that would kind of give them a bit of an edge. But Miami would be tough. The Bucks are the defending champs. They added Serge Ibaka. And then the Nets, do not sleep on them. The minute Simmons steps on the floor, which I guarantee will be after that March 10th matchup.
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
March 11th, we will hear something about him coming back.
Yeah, exactly. I guarantee, you know, he's not trying to play in that matchup. So the minute Simmons steps on the floor, though, and Durant comes back, and the vaccine mandate's already kind of beginning to get lifted in New York, so Kyrie can play in home games. And then you've got Seth on the wing there. Joe Harris could possibly come back. Brooklyn would still be my pick, honestly, to come out of the East. Like those guys are there.
Okay, Kai. I'm cutting you off right now. I didn't want to cut you off at all until right now. You don't believe in cohesion? Because just throwing a bunch of talent on the floor it looks good. But do you think a team that's just constructed, then maybe coming mid-March, Kyrie in and out of the lineup so much, hands down, Kevin Durant might be the best basketball player in the world when healthy? But do you think just putting that talent together could just run through the East as good as the East is right now?
Well, I look at Brooklyn this way, right? KD and Kyrie have already played together. Kyrie played with Seth Curry in college at Duke, so it's not like he's never played with Seth Curry before. Ben is an easy guy to play with because he's not looking for shots. He's literally trying to give you the ball. We found that out last year, right? So Ben is an easy guy to play with, and Seth, all he wants to do is shoot the ball from deep, like whenever he gets his looks. So it's not like it's not like you're looking at Brooklyn and be like, oh damn, these guys are gonna be fighting for shots. No, it's Ben is literally just gonna give you the ball, like, and get out of your way and play it. And
Right
and
on.
we all know, how elite of a defender Ben Simmons is. So I look at Brooklyn, and if the three of them are on the floor, and a lot of it's gonna be the vaccine mandate. The vaccine mandate doesn't get lifted.
Oh no. He'll be back. There's no way he's not gonna end it like that. You could tell something just went wrong.
Well, as you saw, that was the Sixers beat writer, Brother Kai Carlin, joining us on the Eat Sleep Sixers show.
There you go.
He's definitely there. He is.
Sorry about
Come
that.
on back.
That was my mistake. Sorry.
It's okay,
about
Kai.
that. But yeah, like if the vaccine mandate doesn't get lifted for Kyrie, then like I don't know if the Nets can get it done. But if everything goes the way we all think it's going to, then yeah, I would lean towards Brooklyn for sure.
I hear you. I can always count on.
I'm coming to you after they lose.
Being honest.
I'm coming to you after they lose, Kai, and say, see, I told you all that talent wasn't going to win.
I hope you do.
Hey, one last question from me, real quick. Daryl Morey went out a few weeks ago and said, man, I wish I could announce this buyout guy right now. Was that Willie Cauley-Stein that he was talking about, or should we be maybe, I know you probably can't say, but was that who he was talking about when he said, I wish I could announce this buyout guy right now?
See, I don't even know about that, because like Willie Cauley-Stein, I was kind of thrown off by that, because it's not like Cauley-Stein brings size. He's 7 feet tall, and that's something that the Sixers don't have, backing up Joel. But it's not like Cauley-Stein is like the game changer. This is it. So I'm not really sure where that really came from. But I mean, if Daryl has somebody else in mind, then so be it. But I'm not really sure. I would lean more towards no. Cauley-Stein isn't the guy. They'll probably find somebody else. But he's on a 10-day, so.
Yeah, I was confused after Morey said that, and then we signed him to a 10-day. I was like, is this who he was talking about? Like, Willie Cauley-Stein's he's not moving the needle. I mean, I don't mind the guy, but I don't think he's moving the needle the way Daryl made it seem.
Yeah, and he hasn't played either. Like, he's played, like, there have been 2 games, and they've gone to Millsap both times. So what I think this could be is they signed Cauley-Stein to this 10-day deal, and maybe the guy he's talking about is somebody who's currently on a roster who he expects to be bought out within the next 10 days. And then the Sixers will go after that guy. So that's kind of how I would see it right now.
Okay.
Dwight Howard, maybe.
I mean, I don't know. The Lakers have been such a mess, right? So,
yeah.
But I wouldn't go after Dwight anymore, to be honest with you. Like, you already went down that road. So,
I hear you. Well, Kai, we had an agreement before the show started. You're a very, very busy guy, and we actually want you on again. So we're going to let you go now. But we definitely appreciate you joining us once again. God bless you, man. And, take us with you. Take us with you on the road with you. And
we was there when he posted that picture in Minnesota. I said, oh, damn, he was right on the floor for the first game for James Harden. I see you.
We was right with you, brother. And congratulations on your new endeavors. You'll always be a Sixer 24/7 member, man. We're very proud of you. God bless, brother.
I appreciate you guys a lot. Thank you so much, man. Thank you. Appreciate y'all.
No problem. Have a good one, man. So if those who don't know, that was Sixers beat writer, brother Kai Carlin, here with us for an exclusive interview with me and my brother BG. BG, great questions, my man. Great questions.
I ain't gonna let nobody off the hook. He gonna tell me he picking Brooklyn. You gonna come on my podcast with these beautiful shirts and say you picking Brooklyn? You better watch your mouth, man. No, but I know he just has to go off of the facts. So I mean, Brooklyn is the betting favorite. So I don't knock him for it, but trust and believe. When they go down, he gonna be the first person I hit up.
Most definitely. I see a few people on here, brother Blake and brother Sammy, are asking, how can they get a shirt? How can they get a mug? BG, you want to address them?
All right, so we have these shirts in white white, as you can see on my brother Carl. We have it in the red. We also have it in blue. I thought you was about to pull a blue shirt out. My blue shirt in there. But and also we have these Eat Sleep Sixers mugs. We are taking pre-orders for that right now. If you inbox me on Facebook, I will make sure to get your order in, and we will have those shirts and mugs out soon. We haven't decided on an exact how many we're looking for before we place the order. But you tell me what your size is, and we'll work it out. So hit me on the inbox, hit Carl on the inbox, hit Jose on the inbox, hit Jen on the inbox, and we'll work out the details. So they will be for sale. But first, we had to debut them as a team. We couldn't just have everybody walking around the city in them before us. We can't have everybody with them before us.
Right.
So yeah, they will be available. They will be available.
Look on the top right-hand side of the screen. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, Snapchat. We're on every social media site. We depend on word-of-mouth advertisement. So, BG, what we need them folks to do?
Make sure that when you're talking about Sixers basketball, you don't just talk about Sixers basketball. You tell them about the #1 Sixers podcast, Eat Sleep Sixers. And when you tell them to tell somebody else. And when they tell somebody else, tell them to tell somebody else. And in the words of my boy Jose, amigo, 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 tell them all.
Speralada. But, as you see, man, who else is going to give you exclusive interviews with Sixers beat writers on an off game day? You got to be here. You don't want to miss it. Any day, anyone could pop up on here. So go ahead and like the page. Enjoy some exclusive content. We're on every social media platform. We thank you guys for joining us today. And you know what? The beauty about this is you could go back, rewind it, and watch it again. We here.
Yep. Go to the YouTube. Every show we ever did is on YouTube. You can go watch the Carlin episode from last year on YouTube if you want. So definitely like, comment, and subscribe on all social media, man. We're here for y'all. We're going to keep pumping out this content as long as y'all want it.
Most definitely, man. With that being said, this has been another great edition of Eat Sleep Sixers.
My cup empty, man. Why you had to pull your cup? I just finished mine.
It's okay. I've been slow sipping just so I could keep pulling it up and showing it on the screen. I got drop one.
Hey, man.
God bless you.
Tune it in. Let's go Sixers. We'll see y'all on Wednesday. We get to beat up on the Knicks again.
Smack them in the face.